Basketball fans, welcome back. So the Team Lioness team from Kenya were able to grab their first win against Burundi. The final score was 87-53. So let's just talk about this. So it's a very good thing for Kenya to be able to grab their first win. I'm very happy because it would be a very bad look if you lost to Burundi. But all things considered, Burundi were not that of a strong side. And I'm going to explain why. So 2 days ago, in the first game Burundi played, they played against Egypt, the home team. The home team in Egypt dispatched Burundi in very embarrassing fashion, limiting them to 40 points. And that game was a snooze fest from the second half because the game was already decided in the first half that it was Egypt's game all through. And Burundi were the weaker side. And looking at even the previous games that we've talked about, Uganda, we've talked about South Sudan, and even as per recording of this video, Uganda were able to dispatch South Sudan. 83-69 was the final score. And you could see Uganda and South Sudan posed so much resistance to the Team Lioness. They were not able to go and get their shots easily, and they're always getting checked. Every single time they made a decision on the court, there was always a counter to that. And we saw a lot of people, capitulate in that performance. They were not able to gather their skill set to be able to win those games. And I talked about it comprehensively in the 2 previous videos I've made. So if you have not watched them, please make sure to go check them out because I had a lot of things to say and I went in depth. So Burundi were looking for their first win. And this was the second game that they were playing. And they were not a strong side like that. And Kenya were able to get to their shots easily because the type of defense that was being posed by Uganda and South Sudan, it was very different from what Burundi were doing. And Burundi, looking at even how they were going at the game, they looked similar to how our Team Lioness is. They played the similar way, and they looked like Team Lioness 2.0. I can say that. So this was a battle of teams that are on the same level. And as we speak right now, Uganda is taking flight and they are moving past and they are looking towards even getting that ticket. And the way they have been playing, it has been spectacular. The major concern I had was how the Team Lioness looked in this Burundi game. The team were able to start off very well. And the first quarter, they had a very good start with 26-10. But a lot of chinks in their armor started showing itself in the second quarter because at some point, the Team Lioness were not able to score at all. And they were only limited to a quarter low 8 points. And this was very concerning to me because at some point, I felt like they were blowing the lead. At some point, the team were up double digits. Then Burundi were just slowly clawing back. They were taking advantage of the flaws that are in the Team Lioness. And I'm so happy to see that at least the Team Lioness were able to stop that and at least try to score more points and at least contain this team. Because if Burundi were in striking distance and they had a run here or there in a few possessions, they will be able to catch up to Kenya. But at least that did not happen. But my major concern was the type of defense and offense that both teams have. So when it comes to the defense, Burundi are not going hard on defense on the Team Lioness team, similar to what we saw Uganda do and South Sudan do. So it was very concerning because the next game is against Egypt. And I'm going to drop a video, a prelude, to talk about this matchup because there's a lot of history in that. And this was very concerning for me because the South Sudan and Uganda game pushed the Team Lioness to the edge, to the point where they were not able to get their shots up. So today we saw a couple of players, they were able to score very well, and majority of the players, not even majority, all of the players were able to play. And the game was already decided in heading into the fourth, so the coach just decided to go ahead and play. But the huge red flag that I saw was even with Burundi being a weak team and Burundi not being that team that is going to pose as a threat to the overall game, why is it that Victoria still played north of like 36 minutes Natalie, she played north of like 30 minutes. Selena, 30 minutes. What were they afraid? What was the coach or even the players afraid of? If were they afraid of the fact that Burundi are going to go ahead and do a run? So that's the question I had, because if the game was already decided and you know that this team, I don't have to play my stars too much and have to rest them for the Egyptian game. I know they have like a rest day tomorrow. So why is it that these players played heavy minutes like that and it was not a do or die game? That is another red flag that I saw. And when I was watching the game, I just saw Victoria was not leaving the game, Natalie was not leaving the game, Selena was not leaving the game. So as much as you're depending on these players to go ahead and play, there were other options available. It was unfortunate that even in this game, a weak team like Burundi, you still did not test out to see what Ashley could do. You only gave her 3 minutes. So Coach Menga decided to give this girl 3 minutes, 26 seconds. I have a huge problem with that, because at least give this girl north of 10 minutes so that you can be able to gauge her performance. Because even if Ashley being given those 3 minutes and 30 seconds, it wasn't enough to be able to see what can she actually do. And even despite this team being a weak team, why is it that the starters played majority of the time? Why is it that the starters took majority of the minutes and the coach did not balance out the minutes? What were they afraid of? Were they afraid of Burundi coming back with a comeback? That was a huge red flag that I saw, and it is very concerning. And it's something that I feel like it comes down to the coaching and the lack of trust for each other, for the other players, because at some point in the second quarter, you could see the team Lioness were it's like they were going back to factory default, because that's the quarter that they lost. So I know with the situation at hand and the risk of potentially going down 0-3, the coaching staff decided to, let's just play the starters all through the game to guarantee this win. So this is very dangerous, because you have not rested these players well, and these players who have played heavy minutes here, one day is not going to be enough to be able to get your legs fresh to be able to match up against Egypt. Understand that the Egyptian team, this is a team that doesn't play around, and having your starters play these minutes like this and have so many miles on their legs, it's going to come back to bite us, and it's going to be very unfortunate. I know the win was important, try to get the first win, try to do that. It's fun after the fact, but understand this. This win came, and the team that was on the other side of the of the law of the other side of like the result was not a strong team at all. This was not a Uganda. This was not a South Sudan. This was a Burundi team, a team that I can say we're on the same level with Burundi. If you look at what South Sudan and Uganda are doing, and Egypt, what they are doing, it's different from what it's different from what Kenya and Burundi are, because if you look at it closely, you'll see that Burundi and Kenya are the weakest teams in this whole tournament. And the record doesn't lie, and like looking at even the scores doesn't lie, because when I was covering the Uganda game and the South Sudanese game, and you look at all the games across the board, even the games that are happening in Angola, where Angola able to grab a ticket, you could see that the poor games came from Kenya, and the poor game to start came from Burundi. And Burundi, this is their second game. So there's no point in there's no point in saying that this is a very huge win, because when I was watching this game and I was live commenting, a lot of people had some choice things to say, and they were saying like, make sure you make a video talking about this win, or make sure you we want to hear you say something about this win. So my thing was, I'm not going to go ahead and start saying, we should have done this, you should have done that. But all I'm just saying is this was not a strong side. And the win that was the most important, even before even the tournament started, was against Egypt. And I don't know even why I'm saying was, but this is a team that we're going to match up with in the next 2 days. So tomorrow is a rest day, so there's not going to be a game. So this Burundi team was not a strong team at all. They were not a strong side, and sometimes it can feel like these guys took advantage of that to be able to gain confidence so that they can be able to get to the next game. So we saw Victoria Reynolds. She dropped 22 points on 8 of 21 shooting. She didn't have an efficient shooting day, especially when it came to even shooting from the field, because shooting from downtown, she was able to knock down at a 43% clip, something that we have not seen in these games. And one concerning thing was when the defense is light and the defense somewhat lags off, there's a tendency that she's able to get to her shots well. But when the defense is tight and a lot of times she's getting crowded out, the high efficiency goes out the window and you're not able to see her do anything. And this is the game that she didn't record a turnover. We've seen in the previous 2 games where when she's being pressured too much, she's not able to convert anything. She's not able to do anything. So that's Victoria for you. She's a player that I can even say she's a bit soft, and you can see she doesn't want to be guarded heavily. And that's not indicative of somebody who can be able to help you when it matters. Because when it matters, when push comes to shove, when you're being thrown at double teams or you have a defender dedicated to guarding you 24/7 for the whole 40 minutes, how do you respond? So for her, majority of the shots were, easy pickings. She was able to get some easy open looks, and she took them off. She took the Burundi team off when the defense hadn't set in. So it was easy for her to get to her shots. I'm not saying it was easy like that, like it's easy to just go ahead and take the shots. But if you look at the type of defense that was there was the Burundian team, the girls there were very disorganized, and they didn't have a strategy to be able to stop those shots. So that's why you can even see Natalie go ahead and do her thing. So she was about 30 minutes played. She had 10 points. She was 4 of 9. She was 1 of 6 from 3. I mean, even despite this game being one of the easiest games in the tournament, she still turned over the ball 5 times. So at least Victoria, she didn't turn over the ball. Selena, she had 15 points, 4 of 12. Even despite the easy game, still these people shot poorly. And one thing that was very concerning was there was no change in the game. These people played the same way. So Team Lioness did not change anything. The way they played today's game against Burundi is the same way they played against South Sudan. It's the same way they played against Uganda. I don't think that they changed anything too much. The difference was the shots were falling, and the defense being set up by Burundi was not adequate enough to be able to pose any resistance to this team. So the Team Lioness and Kenya, we just took advantage of that, because all things considered, when you play a game, you take what the defense gives you. So when the defense was not settled, you take advantage of that, and that's what the team did. They didn't change anything, and they just continued doing that. So this game, you could even see Vilma. She was able to get to her shots easily. She, in 11 minutes, I can even say damn near 12 minutes, she had 12 points, 5 of 8 shooting, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and 3 steals. So you could see when the teams are weak and the teams are not top tier or can even say elite, this is where you see the players shine. And this is where you see Kenya look, you can even give the false impression that Kenya is actually a good team. And that's further from the truth, because majority of the flaws of this team are highlighted when they play hard games. Case in point, when they play against Uganda and they played against South Sudan. Those were 2 difficult games that took so much energy from this team. And this was just a soft game. I can say that because even wide open shots, the girls from Burundi were missing. There was nothing that was clicking at all. And it was easy for us, and it was expected, because as the lead kept ballooning and the steals piled on, at least you could see Kenya was just capitalizing on that easily. And the turnovers reduced. because this was not a team that was forcing turnovers like that. So Belinda still, you could see she only played like 1 minute 53 seconds. She did nothing. I mean, you could tell like the coaching staff or even the players themselves, like, but I can say the coaching staff just lost all confidence in Belinda. I don't think she can get it done for you, and that's why they were going with Rita, Vilma, and Masiwanyama, because Rita played 17 minutes, damn near like 18 minutes. She had 6 points. She was 3 of 6 shooting from the field. She had 7 rebounds. So such performances, when you see them, you'll just know that the defense on the other side was weak, and there was not much resistance there. Even Masiwanyama there, she had 9 points in 22 minutes of play. She didn't play heavy minutes like what Victoria, Natalie, and Selena did, but you could see even with her minutes, she was just doing her thing. 9 points, 7 boards, 2 assists. I mean, but the 3 turnovers. I mean, I don't know. The turnover bug is just too much. Christina Kinyi, I don't know. She still plays netball. Then the Jemima Omondi, for the first time at least, you have seen her play. And she played 13 minutes. And you're seeing 7 points, 2 boards. She was able to knock down a 3. And, I mean, the 3 ball is a problem. Even with this win, there were still a lot of issues. The 3 ball is an issue, and it's a growing concern for the team. And overall, I can just say the team Lioness just capitalized on a weak team, because there were no lead changes. The biggest lead was 34 points. The biggest scoring run was 24 points straight. And the game, Team Lioness dominated this game for damn near 40 minutes, because it's 39 minutes, 56 seconds. And the team shot 43% from the field, 44% on 2-point field goals, on 40% from 3. So there was not too much defense being put on the 3 ball. So that's the reason as to why Team Lioness were able to shoot. But if you look at it closely, even with the game difficulty gets high, especially for the previous 2 games that you have looked at, you will see that the Team Lioness struggle to shoot the 3 ball when they're getting pressured at the perimeter. When they're getting guarded heavily at the perimeter and they're forced to shoot, or the paint is blocked, there's no entry that with those passes that they make, they're not able to do anything. And if you make them primarily and be solely an outside shooting or an outside team, they're not able to do it. But the defense, was weak, and they were able to go ahead and capitalize on that. So that's that. So they dominated in rebounds. You could see in assists, they dished out the rock pretty well. At some point, you could just see the 33 turnovers that Burundi accumulated were the main reason as to why they lost this game, because out of points from turnovers, you could see the Team Lioness capitalized and they made 44 points, 44 large ones on that one. So there's that. And also 17 fast break points. And even despite out-rebounding the Burundi team, Burundi still beat Kenya on second chance points. So that was very concerning. Then points from the bench was 28 and points in the paint was 36. So when there's little to no confidence, especially when it comes to the second unit of the team in a difficult game, that's when you'll see the starters play the most minutes. But the biggest issue, even I've mentioned it earlier in this video, you can see that even with the game that is so easy to win, why is it that the coach still insists that the starters need to play heavy minutes? This is the game that when it was already decided in the third quarter, in the fourth quarter, you should just let Ashley go ahead and play, let Jemima go ahead and play, let Elizabeth play ahead, continue. It's unfortunate that even despite this win, we didn't even see what Margaret could do for us. So, I mean, it was crazy. Okay, I'm not saying that the coach needs to use every single player, but we could have seen at least a bit or even a snapshot of what maybe we will have missed, even in the 2 previous games that they didn't play anything. So I fault the coaching staff on this one, because even, albeit it was a fairly easy win, the onus is on the coaching staff to decide, okay, the starters, why do you have to play the starters even after you have defended a lead? Even if you're like up 20, why do you still have the starters on the court? Why do you still have Victoria, Natalie, Selena playing heavy minutes and they're up huge. So that means that there's little to no confidence in the second unit, and it comes back to bite us in the difficult games. Because when these girls fall out, right? When, let's say, Natalie is in foul trouble, let's say Selena is in foul trouble, or even, let's say, Masiwanyama gets into foul trouble, who will you turn to? Because the second units in the bench have not been able to even log significant minutes to be able to gain some confidence to be on the court. So that's something that was it was very concerning, and it rubbed me off the wrong way. Because as per the game, when you've seen like you're up huge, I'm not saying that you lag off or like you slow it down, but at least test the second unit to see what they can do. So that was the major issue that I had, because even if you're winning and you know that you're already winning, you're like up 25, why is it that you're not going to let the other ladies just go ahead and mix it up in there? Because maybe you can discover something new that you can use when the games get difficult. And I mean, there's a lack of trust in that team, and there's a huge problem that I don't think is being addressed. And I mean, it all comes down to the decisions at the bench and the coaching staff. If the coaching staff, and when I say coaching staff, I mean George Mayenga, if he decides that he doesn't want this player to be there, I mean, and play significant minutes, and let like the other players just dominate, and let the starters just keep piling on the miles on their feet, I mean, your ego is going to be in it. And this next game will not be friendly at all, because you're going to match up against Egypt, a team that is yet to lose any game, a team that is a strong team, and that this is a team that I can say we have history, because dating back to 2023, the team that eliminated Kenya was Egypt, and they went on to win it all. So I'm going to drop a video talking about that. Okay. As much as we won, I'm not impressed with the decisions by the coach. I'm not impressed. This win does not erase the two previous choke jobs that we saw. I know a lot of people will say, at least be positive, we won the game, but if you ignore the nitty-gritties of the game, that means that you are being a hypocrite, and you're not looking at things, and you're not being real with things. Because you'll see this game, they'll have a good game, they'll be like, you see, we have won, we're good, you don't have to change anything. Now, when they when they hit another roadblock, they get slapped back to reality. That's when be like, we tried again. And these opportunities come once in like 2 years. So if you don't capitalize on them right now, you never know if you're going to make it there again. And we saw that in 2023 when Kenya missed out on the AfroBasket, basically due to the fact that we were overconfident when we won 3 straight, and due to the fact that we didn't understand the game plan for Egypt. Luckily, FIBA scheduling has enabled us to have a free day before Egypt, because if we went there on a back-to-back, it would have been a bloodbath. And given this free day, what I expect from the team Lioness is they should go back, look at the film for Uganda, the South Sudan, and Burundi, look at what made them fail and what made them succeed. What worked? Was it the 3-point shot they need to improve on? Was it the inside shots? Was it what really worked? Because in the first 2 games, nothing was working at all, and they were basically fighting for scraps and second chance points. And even I can say, even in this game, they were taking off. They were taking on Burundi easily, and they were able to make sure that they put them away quickly, not because they changed the way they played, but because they were an easy team to beat. And the strategies that they were using were the similar ones that they were using for Uganda, which didn't work, and South Sudan, which most definitely failed, and it flopped hard. So there's a huge responsibility and a huge task ahead. I know you can't change a lot in 24 hours, but you can make some mental adjustments, and even go and go at least and try to see what went wrong in those games and fix them. There are a lot of things that went wrong, how to handle pressure and player rotations. And the most unfortunate thing is George Mayenga has not been able to figure out the best lineup to run. The starters are the only lineup that is there is the starters. You don't know how these players play together because majority of the time it's just in and out. You keep subbing in. You can say you're removing Natalie, but of which she doesn't even come out for too long. You put Jemima there. You put Ashley there. You keep staggering the minutes too much, the point where they can't even have some consistent rhythm when they're playing. So that's a very huge concern, and that's the main reason as to why we really, really struggle in rotations. And that's the reason why you're seeing players play heavy minutes. And it's not good to have like your starters play heavy minutes. And when the game really matters, let's say, for example, in the Egyptian game, this is a game that if we lose it, I don't even know say if, but when we lose it, if we continue playing the same way, we'll be out of the whole tournament. And there's a higher likelihood that that's going to be our last game if we don't fix up a few things. But it's unfortunate because Egypt are just miles ahead. We saw what Egypt and Uganda did. Uganda was this close in taking apart Egypt, and it was a very neck-to-neck game. It was those girls were just going in toe-to-toe, and the Egyptian team were able to survive that scare because Uganda, they are the real deal. And had I not taken them for granted in the first game, and I thought that they were a similar roster to what we saw 2 years ago, I was dead wrong because they punched us in the mouth properly. Now, we have Egypt go ahead and they are going to go ahead and play us. And they're not going to let a similar situation like what happened to Uganda happen again. So there's a high likelihood that that game is going to end up similar to what they did to Burundi if we don't change up things. The South Sudanese game, I can say we had too many flaws. We turned over the ball like 34 times. Luckily enough, in this Burundi game, it was 17. So we half that. But the real reason as to why we didn't even turn over the ball that much was due to the fact that the turnovers, majority of them were being committed by Burundi. So the Burundi team, the girls were not taking care of the basketball, and that's the reason why. So there's a lot to unpack, and there's a lot to reflect on, because even as per the stat sheet and as per the numbers, we still lag behind. We're still not at the same level as the other teams. We can't class ourselves as being an elite country or an elite team yet, and I can say we still have a long way to go. Because if you look back at that game and you go ahead and watch it again, this Kenya versus Burundi game, you will see similar flaws to what we've seen in the previous two games. We don't know what type of plays are getting run. We don't know, like, the decision making of the players is also questionable. Even in an easy game, you could see Natalie still turn over the ball 5 times. You could see Selena turn over the ball 4 times. These are players who have little to no basketball IQ, as I've mentioned earlier in previous videos. And I must say, they'll just continue to be frauds to me in my book. And they just took advantage of the fact that Burundi is a weak team. And now, the next team they're going to match up with will expose the flaws in 4K. And it will be worse than even what we saw, what Uganda did and what South Sudan did. So that's just about it. So do drop me your comments down in the comment section on what you think about this. I will come back with a video to talk about Kenya versus Egypt, a prelude, a preview. So stay tuned to that one. And I'm loving the support on the channel. Those videos are, man, are going and they're flying. Yeah, I've been looking at the back end and it's crazy, man. The analytics are crazy. So keep watching, interact with me in the comments, and also you can also hit me up on the DMs, NBA Kenya on Instagram, X, Nderitu. Even on my personal Instagram, which is very weak, you can go ahead and reach me out through that. And with that one, I'm out. I'm going to see you guys in the next one. Peace out.
Okay. After yesterday's game, we sat as a team and discussed a few things we missed doing in the beginning of this tournament. But I've seen that today the ladies decided to do what they are meant to do. Everybody had their role to play, and that is what brought us up to where we are.
Sorry, coach, about that. On to you, Victoria. Maybe from a player's perspective, what is motivating you to keep being competitive in this competition despite the fact that you lost the opening 2 matches?
Yeah, so of course, as a team we discussed, we have to go home with at least a win. We can't come to Egypt all the way from Kenya and not win a single game. So that's what we really talked about before the game and emphasized at halftime also.
All right, and since your debut in 2021, how has the competition in Zone 5 evolved, and how, as Team Kenya, do you make sure that you get back your position as one of the powerhouses in basketball in the zone?
Yeah, so from 2021, the competition has definitely improved. You have some players coming from outside, some nationalized players coming, which is making the competition more competitive. As Kenya, we're still growing. We have some of our best players, for example, Medina Okot, who is at Mississippi State right now, who we're missing, but, we're still trying and we're still here. May not be the best showing this year, but definitely we're still, I think one of the teams to beat in the zone, so, yeah.
Well, last question to you, Coach. You play Uganda in your next game. There's a lot of history between the two teams. How do you handle that game?
Well, this is the first time Uganda hit us here, when we started. We didn't expect them to be like that. Though even 2023, we won in Kampala, their home court. But anyway, it's a surprise, and we need to get back to the drawing board to organize the team properly. Remember what my captain has just, Vicky has just said. We didn't expect much, but not anybody came from outside. Apart from me, Vicky herself was playing for Reg on our way to Europe. That's the way we got her. But it's a lesson we need to learn, and it's not yet over.
Sorry, I meant against Egypt. Your game against Egypt, there's a lot of history between the two teams. You got to beat them for the first time in 2021. Yeah, how do you handle that game?
We'll watch them, and we know this is their home court. So we are also ready for any challenge. Because right now, we still have Vicky, who was the MVP with us. And of course, they don't know how much. They can watch any tape they want to watch. But I respect them as a team, as a competitor. But let's see what will happen. I cannot discuss much of it. And let's see what happened, what is going to happen on Friday.
All right. Vicky, fun question. Why does everybody think you would trip on your way to the arena?
That's a question that I even asked my teammates. I don't know. Personally, I don't think that I'm the one that trips, but, I guess I am.
Okay, that's it from us.